are gonna go to what we know. What are our strengths?
Inclusivity.
As fast as, here, I'm gonna give this to you. So we're gonna do strengths and then we'll move on to challenges.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Okay, inclusivity. Next.
Network.
Next.
Brand recognition,
Trust.
Intent.
communication, like
Transparency.
internal communication.
Internal communication.
Okay, trust,
Hugs.
communication, I missed one.
Intent, someone said.
Intent,
Yeah, internal communication.
hugs.
Communication is internal.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say it. I was just repeating it.
Transparency. I don't know. It's,
I would also put accountability there. It's one of our major equivalents.
I will say reliability. Because,
Is transparency already on there?
Yeah.
Wow, it's so far away.
Alright, think broad, think souls.
Fun.
Think, yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Determination.
Think about somebody you would think for something they're awesome at.
Energy, energetic. I would also add just general team cohesion. I think we have more of a social bond than a lot of teams do.
definitely.
I don't know how to make this short, but like
I don't know.
using multiple talents and not pigeonholing.
Stacking
a person.
functions.
You like each person is using many of their talents, whereas like one, whereas lots of other jobs like you only get to use one.
Multifaceted.
So
like
we're good at
finding the
wearing many
intersection.
hats?
Finding the
Wearing many
intersection
hats,
of your
yeah.
various
Good.
skills.
Wearing many hats.
But also like
Jack of
developing
all trades?
people.
Is that Jack of all trades?
Developing
People.
people.
Self-development or
Yeah, self-development.
open-mindedness.
Developing self and others.
Yeah.
Open-minded.
Inclusive.
We got that
Oh,
one.
sorry.
So now think about roles, as we did our role sheets the other day. What were some of those roles that you were like, God, we really got that down?
Autonomous. Autonomy.
Governance or decision making.
Decision making?
Leadership.
Empowerment.
Flexibility.
It's the yoga.
Alright, let's get three more.
I would say fast speed, but I don't know, like we can.
Determination. Fast pace, is that?
I think we got that one.
Yeah.
Moving fast.
Radical politics.
Emergence.
Yeah.
Everybody loves us. I don't know how to make
Yeah,
that.
we're very likable,
Yeah.
Likability.
lovable.
I was thinking of
Reputation.
one more like that, but I don't know if it's like empowerment, like users have the ability to actually, I think it's empowerment.
Openness.
Is there? I mean, it's there is definitely. Now I lost the word. Great.
We're awesome. So basically,
That is
we got a lot of awesome going on in here.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say honesty because it's implied in some things.
High
But
skill, you have 10 minutes for this one.
Okay.
Because I want to do the third day, right? Goals.
because
I'm
I
thinking
think
about-
Yeah.
there is some.
So,
high skilled.
would you be interested in reading our goals for us? Do we have those somewhere?
The
Easily
goals, yeah.
accessible?
Yeah,
Like, let's
we
think
said-
about what's the goal of Giveth? What are we here for? To have positive impact,
Blockchain for good. Build
Right?
the future of giving.
Change the world.
Yeah, that's
Develop
This
the
I want
Ethereum
to say
community.
like high skilled and intelligent. That's the thing that I think
high
we're.
skills, intelligence.
Yeah.
And Kai said
Create.
honesty.
To enable collective focus through skin in the game mechanisms.
Common spirit.
wow. Yeah.
Are those things we're good at? Collective focus?
No.
That's a goal. Yeah.
Common spirit.
Constantly-
Commonality.
Commonality.
Commonality though we do.
Yeah,
Commonality.
totally.
Organization, proper administration. Is that?
Okay,
Okay, I got the goals in the meantime.
alright, so let's hear our goals so we can think about how these strengths are helping us achieve or not achieve our goals.
Start with the overall goal of Giveth.
What's that?
Starting with the overall goal of Giveth. And
Yeah,
then
let's
the
do it.
circles. Alright. So the overall, Giveth is a decentralized altruistic community focused on using blockchain technology for good to make the world a better place. We have more in our mission statement.
Alright, so a decentralized, altruistic community is definitely all of these things.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah, we
Okay,
push
and then
decentralized.
after that,
So that is worked out, but those are the main three that we do, decentralize these three elements. Goals of the DAP circle. Yeah, I go there.
yeah, Finit, help me, I wanna write this. A decentralized, altruistic community.
Oh, sorry. Focus on using blockchain technology for good to make the world a better place. Using blockchain tech. Good. To make the world a better place.
Is there anybody in this room who is not here for this?
Depends on the definition of decentralized.
Alright, so which of these strengths do you think are the most important ones for us? Like, underlying this goal? Pick.
It's hard.
Network,
Trust.
autonomy.
How
Okay, so
many?
let's go network, trust, autonomy, let's get two more.
Decision making.
Intent.
Intent.
But there's like one person voting. Like, how does this work?
No, that's okay, this is, we're still lunar, we're just gonna refine this a little bit,
Very likable, lovable.
right?
To me, inclusivity, but it's linked to the likable, lovable.
Right?
Yeah, transparency, accountability, honesty, all these basically.
Okay,
All of them.
Just
Blockchain.
They all have trust.
so now, we're gonna flip the page, and we're gonna talk about our challenges.
Or 5 minutes ahead.
That's cool, because I realized I want those 5 minutes for something else.
Okay.
Okay. Jeff, what's the challenge?
Cohesion.
And it's totally expected that things on one list will be on the other as well.
Yeah, one of our strengths also
That challenge.
decentralization, because it, yeah, look at what we're getting done here versus in a normal week. It's hard to sync up like this.
Uh-huh.
Product market fit.
Product, market, fit.
Financial sustainability.
Are we just shouting it out?
Apparently.
Yes, but if it's too quiet, I'm gonna pick somebody.
User experience.
Focus.
Yeah, I was about to say like user adaptation.
Aloofness,
adoption?
or I don't know how to
Adoption,
say that. It's very like detachment from. The blockchain is not in the real world yet. Like how to go like this. Or like
Okay.
we operate in another sphere that's not reachable
Right.
for the
Bridging
normal.
the gap.
That's
Reachability. So
Or like a barrier of entry, or
that's
yeah,
yeah.
cultural barriers.
maybe cultural.
It's- I said user adoption.
Productivity.
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 Symmetry and composability.
I think like
It's modularity. isn't it?
work getting doubled up.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Duplication of effort.
yeah.
External communication.
So, yeah.
Christine's a bigger team.
I don't know.
It's
Like
not only
social,
that,
social
but I was that's
presence.
exactly the same thing.
Like social presence.
Just clear messaging. It's
Yeah.
Ease of access. Which is pretty
Time
Optimal-
zones. Time zones.
Oh man, right?
let's fix that
Oh
one.
my god.
Optimal use of everyone's skills.
We need that on the app.
GMT, man.
Radical inclusivity.
There was some other issues that
Specialization. Advice process.
Okay, there's no wrong answers here, so give me a few more.
Yeah, maybe like not a lot of individual autonomy. Like feeling like you have to consult the group for that's what the advice process would be, I think.
And internal communication.
Yeah, information flow. It's hard to
Information
sometimes-
flow is maybe even.
Yeah. Unless you attend like every meeting, it's hard to know everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries. Work-life balance.
Ooh.
It's interesting coming from you, Griff.
I know, I just can't get working with.
What about the tools that we use? The challenges we have with the different tools that we.
The DAP.
Just put on the DAP. This is a challenge.
Well, tell me.
What about team turnover?
Churn.
Team turnover. Yeah.
Onboarding.
Churn. Onboarding, yeah, that's a good one.
How's offboarding usually go?
Yeah, offboarding is a big challenge.
Yeah, offboarding. You can add that one.
That's part of the radical inclusivity.
Accountability. Clear
Being a
accountability.
problem sometimes.
Quality assurance.
No wrong answers, so I'm gonna say it. Free writing.
And working with the community, I'm thinking like getting in, I don't know, I was like GitHub, contributors and managing contributors, managing community management.
Community management and even project management, I would even add as a separate one. Prioritization. God, difficult word for me. Too many R's.
Yeah, I'll put user Q&A, like questions and answers.
User feedback.
User testing.
Lack of user.
Lack of users?
User input?
Lack of user.
No, that's what makes our lives easy.
I know, right?
User feedback probably is what you mean, right?
Yeah, like I was thinking like users, lack of support to the users.
Ah,
User support?
user support. Okay.
User support.
Um,
That's good.
not like looking after ourselves, like not paying ourselves for a long time because of like altruism, and also just like that
Asking for what we
autonomy.
need?
Financial stability. is like-
That's already
Yeah,
on
come
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, specifically like individuals not taking care of themselves, self-exploitation, sure.
Exploitation.
Lay it down.
Self-care as well. Self-care. Self-exploitation.
Scarcity mindset. It's in there already in almost few ways, but it's a challenge to not go there. Sometimes.
Alright. I want two more. We're digging.
Maybe this goes with external communication, but clearly defined vision.
Alignment.
Let's see what comes before the communication. You need a clear vision. Yeah.
Alignment.
I will go. We'll go to building a good platform for the commons.
It's an exciting challenge.
So I might challenge you just a little bit with that.
Challenge
Like,
us.
what is the challenge behind, that's keeping us from building a good platform?
Prerequisite diversity. Every time there's lists like this, we need more and more lists like this. Lunar lists.
No, but I was talking specifically about the commons stack. I mean, because I have sensed that this is something that has been really there for a while, and given it's really looking forward to that. But this is radical innovation, basically. Something that no one have done before. Youth is going into that, so there's a
Yeah,
lot to do.
it's way behind.
It's a big
We're
challenge.
at 135?
Yeah, we are at 123, so you still have like
Oh,
12 minutes
perfect.
ahead or something.
Perfect. Okay. So, we're gonna not look at this for a moment. I'm gonna actually come back to this one. Okay? Got your notebooks? I want to invite you to write a letter to yourself. So you've got 5 minutes to write yourself a letter, thanking yourself for all of the wonderful things that you do well and that you bring together and that you bring to the world in pursuit of this goal.
Today is June the 2nd, right?
Today is June the 2nd. So all of the things that you appreciate for yourself, and just keep writing for the next few minutes, this little letter, thank you letter to yourself.
To the things we bring.
Things you've done, things you do. The things you do that may go unseen, unrecognized by others.
This is a powerful part of the stream. Someone watching now, like, wow, this is good content.
Yeah, for those who are watching on the stream, this is an exercise you can do for yourself at any time.
Bowen, we will be asking for the notes, so
Right? You can write all of the different things that you're feeling and that are keeping you from accomplishing the things you want towards your goal. Just make this big long list. Get up and move to another spot. Write a few more things if you feel stuck.
but you said focusing on the things that you bring, not on what's blocking you, because now you said.
Oh yeah, I
we're
was talking
switching.
to people on the
Ah,
stream.
okay. Confused.
Oh, okay.
No, this letter, write yourself everything, and when you're finished with your letter, come see me. Okay. Go find a quiet spot. Read that letter out loud, Jason. Did you sign it?
Oh, that's good.
Beautiful. I can't even read it myself. I was just thinking about all that. You're at least as bad as I am.
So we want to stay in our lunar mode, so when you're done, you can sit and just draw circles or something, like all different ways that you can make patterns out of circles that connect. Yeah, go find a spot and outline it. Something like here. Alright, let's wrap up our letters. Sign to yourself with love. Out loud to yourself 3 times.
Thank you then. That's a good one.
Okay, you finished writing?
Huh?
We'll sign it, so go somewhere and read that letter out loud to yourself.
To myself? Cool. Yeah.
31.
It's 32.
Okay, so wrap up your letters. When you're finished, go upstairs or behind the curtain and read it out loud to yourself 3 times.
Well, we need more paper.
Nope.
Okay.
Jenna, ring a little bell.
Hmm?
Ring a little bell.
Yes.
Phones are amazing, right? Don't even need bells anymore.
Indeed.
I miss my bell. I have this little bell. It's really good.
I still like analog bells.
Yeah, the real deal.
I stashed some bells around here.
I left a couple in Costa Rica at different summers.
Yeah.
Facilitation toolkits behind me wherever I go.
Yeah.
Rolls, all that good stuff.
I'm gonna go for the Give Church again.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's even connected to the speaker.
Very old world. I like it.
Let's see what the other church. Right, that's the other church.
Harkens back to our roots. Sagrada Familia.
Yeah. God is calling you. Someone went upstairs, so I'm gonna wrap. So come. Sorry. So ready. laptop.
Alright, so where we're going now is we're moving from lunar going wide, and we're gonna start moving in, the sun's coming up. It's gonna burn off a lot of this stuff that's in the way, so we can see what's at the core. What are some of the real challenges that we can tangibly address and come up with a solution statement for? So the first thing we can do as we transition and start solaring our lunar is decide, and we can do that by a couple of simple ways to eliminate a few things first. So let's take a look at this list and identify things that look like symptoms, okay? So sometimes, like just to give an example right now, our user experience, user adoption. These are things that are probably symptomatic of a more underlying challenge, right? The underlying challenge might be onboarding, it might be the DAP itself. So, like to me, I have a pen, so I'm gonna start with a couple of my own. I would cross off user experience and user adoption and highlight the DAP and onboarding as sort of triggers that are, when we don't have positive user experience and we're not getting more user adoption because we don't have our tool and our onboarding in a place for that. So that's just my suggestion. This is the first exercise is going to be to thin things out here, and then anybody is going to have the chance to veto what somebody else says when we kind of map this on the board a little bit.
Here.
I just want to I think it's because the list is challenges, so I think that will be like solutions instead, like.
That's where we're at now. So solaring the laser, the lunar literally means we're shifting into a solution mindset. So it's okay to start thinking, because what we're gonna do now is we're gonna identify like maybe 5 or 8 of these that when we put them on the board here, we can draw arrows. We're gonna eventually see that there's a couple of these things that either it's circular, this is happening, which means this is happening, which means this is happening, and there's a cycle that we can pick a place to break that cycle. Or we might find that because of 2 or 3 of these, all the other things are piling on top of that, right? So, like, if you want to keep doodling and thinking about this and like draw in your notebook, like grab a couple that you think, or if you want to tell me something right now that maybe we could pick 2 or 3 things that we think are underlying, like are really central to what's causing some of the other challenges.
Because you indicated the DAP as linked to an underlying thing. I think even below that, because I don't think our goal, for example, is to onboard people to the DAP at this point. So I think we need clear goals. That is a deep underlying thing. For an overarching goal that is deeply defined and per circle.
So if we need clear goals, then a challenge we have is something that's not, so there's a challenge, either we didn't write a challenge.
You didn't really write it, it's like on
like, is it, so lack of a
it's
clearly
focus, I put
defined
focus
vision.
on there at some point.
Yeah,
Focus and priorities.
Okay,
because that's
so
linked.
let's put that right here.
I think a lot of these also connect to decentralization, like the DAP and
Focus.
user experience, but also like duplication of efforts and time zones and there's just a lot of these connect to decentralization, I think.
Okay, so then we'll put decentralization is hard.
True statement.
So some of these, it's not necessarily, we'll start moving into solution. So we've got decentralization, focus on priorities. What is another underlying challenge? So we feel like this is an underlying challenge. I feel like having clearly defined vision, and what was the other one? Focus. These are some underlying things.
And then it's also linked to decentralization, but it's also a separate one when you have boundaries, work-life balances, self-exploitation. To me, all these and advice process, they're all linked to clear roles and accountabilities. Not having those, that's
Clear
the challenge.
accountabilities.
Yeah.
Clear
Okay.
accountabilities are the big one.
Yeah.
So, we put here. Accountabilities here. Then boundaries, you said work-life balance.
I mean, none of these are connected really. Well, maybe a little bit, but financial sustainability is definitely needs to be up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna influence a lot of the other symptoms.
That's where self-exploitation comes in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because some of these symptoms are caused by more than one thing, for sure.
I'm getting rid of blue because
I don't know if it's up there in like the root causes, but what I think of, it's sometimes a little bit my frustration when it comes to like productivity, duplication of effort, these things are, I think, in a way linked to not be in. Sometimes there's a lack of deep, good internal communication. It's even linked to like being really honest and direct with each other without being disrespectful. So we say good internal communication because of decentralization again, but it's.
Yeah.
A lot of those feel like visibility kind of things. Like the word that comes to mind is explicit. So like focus on priorities. If we don't know what the priorities are, how can we focus? If we don't know what the boundaries are, how can we find them? The clear accountabilities. So it's all about explicitness and visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like describing things in language through the internal communication that you were talking about there, Chris. Like that's hard because we have to be extremely explicit and articulate about what we're trying to convey.
And that is these having very clear goals and yeah, clear goals and clear accountabilities help.
So we have goals. We are identifying that we have a challenge that our goals are not clear. Is that, because that's kind of what I thought I just heard right now. Like we do have goals, but maybe everybody who's working on Giveth right now doesn't have a relationship to those goals.
Personally, I think we do, but they're wide, so they're you can interpret them differently.
It's almost like the roadmap.
Yeah.
Those goals. We have the goals.
Yeah.
What are the steps and
To get there, yeah, indeed.
What is everyone working on? What is there to work on that we can enable?
That's another word for it is indeed like having a clear vision. We have like, we know where we want to get in like 10, 15 years, but like what is, the vision, the roadmap to get there. Yeah.
I think clearly defining that in the story, like Griff's ECC presentation was amazing because it took a user through the next 50 years of decentralization and what needs to happen to get from here to there. That's awesome. I'd love to see more of that, like fleshing out the user story of how is this useful to someone? What problems is this solving?
Yeah, and I think I think it's an important one because I'm fully aligned with that vision because there is indeed a vision. But everyone who's working should have that exact vision, or you should tweak it a bit if we want to get to an overall vision, because that is a vision. It's a strong vision even.
What else do you see on this list that feels like it's maybe a trigger or a contributing challenge to some of the other challenges we have on here?
Okay, I think that radical inclusivity is a challenge to offboarding.
Is that part of decentralization though?
I don't think so. The problem is that at onboarding we don't. I mean, there is no offboarding, but if we would always connect onboarding with offboarding,
So, what do you want to say? That
the
the-
radical inclusivity is not. And just arguing this one that this is not the real problem. The problem is that when you're onboarded, there is no clear offboarding. Like there is no but you just don't disappear. If you wanna go, be offboarded.
Well, that's linked, I think, to the thing that we mentioned yesterday as well in the comments discussion. I don't think we need it in a way, but like we have no sanctions, you know, that part. So we have clear accountability. We don't have clear accountabilities, and we have no way of like. Yeah, we reward everyone in the same way, but we don't have anything opposite of that. But I don't know how to say it.
So maybe, I mean, so sanctions is a good word, because that's the word from the Commons.
Mm-hmm.
So lack of, I mean, part of what I want to say is we don't have a process for giving constructive feedback, but we kind of do. Maybe we just don't use
We do,
those
there's just no
processes.
consequences.
Yeah, and I think the thing that Josh mentioned earlier is the skin in the game aspect. I really like that one. We have, to be honest, when it comes to finance, is a sort of communist kind of system that everyone just gets the same thing. But if we don't want to go to punishments or like sanctions, then maybe we can focus on making the rewards more individual. And it doesn't have to be financial. I just think that might be.
That it gives space to play.
Yeah.
I'm almost feeling like we have a lack of external consequences, because we almost expect people to sanction themselves.
Yeah. And some people will be harder on themselves.
Right,
So-
and so which leads to self-exploitation. So there's a relationship between these two as well.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this I find fits into symmetry again.
Tell me why.
Well, lack of consequences or too many consequences is all kind of balance, or like goals are subject to interpretation. One person has a goal that's asymmetric to another person's goal. Inclusivity, our definitions of inclusivity will be asymmetric. Accountabilities will be asymmetric. So all of it kind of fits into the balance side of things, but maybe I'm not really making a point, I guess.
Well, so my brain was kind of looking at, like, because I'm wanting to balance symmetry with diversity, right? Like,
Yeah,
like
no, that's
we,
hard. My warehouse is absolute clusterfuck for that. Like,
Right.
we have open parties, so there'd be 30 people inviting everybody in the neighbourhood everywhere and thing, and the things that turn up can be quite scary.
so the idea here is to draw, like, to choose some from here and then draw the relationships
Yeah.
between them.
You're 5 minutes over your timing. It's 50 now. In a sense, you wanted to start with arrows at 45. So now we're
We're
at
right
50.
there. Okay, so the challenge statement, what we want to come up with here is an answer to this. We at Giveth are challenged by, let's make a statement. So, based on what we've all fleshed out through our learning, this is the hard part. We're gonna really dive into this and say, what can we name as a result of this exercise that is something we at Giveth are challenged by? Something that might be keeping us from achieving this goal. Yeah.
Structurelessness.
So as opposed to
How does everybody feel about
decentralization.
that? Like when I write that here?
Because, yeah, I'm kind of with you on
Yeah.
that, but structureless is like a layer above composability, so if it's composable, then the structure doesn't matter.
Yeah, I feel like decentralization
Yeah.
encompasses a structurelessness and a bunch of problems with dealing with the DAP. So it's just like
Yeah, I mean,
it's our
but
internal.
decentralization is also like our strength, right?
And that's okay,
Yeah.
because the next part of this is gonna see what we look like on the other side of that.
I have the same with like what I want to say is also about we were challenged by one of our own strengths, and it's like how important we value altruism, or how we define altruism,
Yeah.
maybe.
We give it too
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Sometimes we
think-
give it too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think this might be, this will be coming up in naming a lot
Oh.
probably, but this might be a very difficult term to live with actually, and be, it's hard to be altruistic, make a livelihood, be financially sustainable and inclusive and secure and accountable and, you know, all these things. There are trade-offs usually, so. And altruism is a very high ideal that is usually, like, it's very hard to pretend or say of yourself that you are altruistic.
Well, many people see altruism as the opposite of greed, and it doesn't have to be. You can
Yeah,
take care of yourself.
depends how loaded the word is, but we will get to those at naming.
Yeah, I think that maybe we should focus, having said that, maybe we should focus on the scarcity mindset, because if we really take, let's say, passing to the abundance mindset, then altruism fits very well there, because with that kind of mindset, you being altruistic are contributing to the abundance of the whole system, so you are gonna receive even more by being altruistic. It's all related in that way. Also, if you relate altruism, abundance mindset with financial sustainability, somehow maybe we can.
I feel
do
like
something good
if
out
we
of
had
that.
financial sustainability, it'd be a lot easier to conquer the scarcity mindset.
Yeah,
Like, that's gotta be
I think.
I mean,
yeah.
we've been a little bit in I don't know, sometimes I think we're in abundance mindset and that's a problem. Like,
Same.
yeah, we could just keep paying all these people, let's just keep paying all of us to like no end and...
But I think it's a good mindset to have. It's a positive mindset. But I think we're challenged by financial sustainability. Or by sustainable finance, what is it? But like finance, just like,
Yeah.
yeah. That is at the core of that.
So, we have structurelessness. What I'm hearing right now is leading to, I feel like we had intention.
We have intent.
Intent is there.
So,
Actually, maybe it was our strength and not a challenge. I don't think we put it up as a challenge.
right,
No, it wasn't, no.
So we're dialing down to the fact that much of this, the two core things are our decentralized approach to being regenerative, which would be the other side of financial instability. So that kind of leads me to, we are challenged by an unclear roadmap. Like,
Yeah, that as well. That's one of the big ones.
Clear accountabilities might encompass that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, indeed.
Like those are my three: financial sustainability, decentralization, and clear accountabilities. Like,
Yeah, we actually have them very like well lined up.
This is what always happens. It's really fun.
I'm 100% behind these. Yeah.
Okay. So how might, so this is a lack, and this is a lack, and then,
This one is a bit vague to grasp, I guess. But that's maybe why it is the decentralization, but structurelessness makes it more tangible, maybe.
No, but
Yeah.
structurelessness for me is also unfair to all the structure we built.
exactly,
we're
so
like
I'm
in the
kind of
middle.
taking that word out because it was the first word that we had, and now we can really see that a decentralized roadmap for for regenerativity, which, without clear accountabilities towards the financial sustainability, then decentralized is getting in the way. But it's our goal. This
Yeah.
is part of what we are here to accomplish is decentralization. But because we're decentralized, we need to have super clear accountabilities that contribute to regenerativity of the organization as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just still struggling a little bit with that word because I think what comes out of decentralization, because that's a concept that everyone it's entails so much and also so little because you can think it's just about the distance and it's not. I think it's the systemic robustness that is a challenge. We have systems, but they're not robust and they're not functioning exactly as we want them.
All right, so fuzzy systems?
The fuzzy works.
Well,
I don't know.
like probably like development
Uncalibrated systems. Sorry to interrupt you.
undeveloped systems
I really think like.
Oh yeah, or
the key-
undeveloped systems.
because they lack development.
Yeah, they like development. The key here is I think the roles process again, like to get it this more and more.
Yeah, I will see that it's on a better stage, but it's in a better stage, so it needs development in order for that to accomplish.
Yeah, I really like decentralization though because it hits on both our team side. There's just like the structurelessness, even though we have structure, but there's like, you know, time zones. There's like we're so decentralized in so many ways, and then also on the app side, just having to deal with that shit is really annoying. And the user experience and everything that comes along with it. Like trying to really be decentralized is such a challenge.
Yeah, maybe if you can put that in there in a way, like our own ambition to be fully decentralized.
To me,
By
decentralization means nodes with no edges. Like that means silos to me. That word, and has done traditionally, I believe. Like distribution is connectedness of the silos, and that's the decentralization I think we're envisioning. But I just, as a word, it feels undefined still to me, and I don't know what people see decentralization as. I know the blockchain space sees it as this like radical self-reliance, I am my own node, there is no boundaries around the node, but there's also no connections to the node kind of thing.
But there's lots of connections to the nodes.
Yeah.
There's like the connections to the nodes are huge.
Okay, so yeah, I guess
In the
it's
case of
consensus
Ethereum, it
versus,
just means
I think we
It's a
all
sort of
agree
hive.
that
That's the
decentralization-
decentralization.
I think we all agree like decentralization is a challenge, but now we need that like a solution, right? Like,
Well, so like looking at our overall goal, forgive it, our very first word is decentralized,
yeah.
right? It is our goal to be decentralized, and decentralization is at the root of our challenges.
Yeah.
Like fully grant is challenging.
So,
You can say I give it our challenge by our uncalibrated structureless systems which block our path to decentralization, to full decentralization.
Structureless systems. I would polish that way. But
so do systems block our path?
I mean, it's not decentralization blocking our path, it's like we just deal with the problems that come from this thing, and it's very normal. And in my mind, it's even one of the functions of Giveth to navigate these waters as a community and see how we come out the other end at any time and communicate that so other people can be decentralized communities.
I think the challenge is
That keep,
actually
like,
reaching
the human
decentralization.
Element.
It will be
What?
reaching
That need
decentralization.
that
is-
need to be
is a challenge.
optimized to
No
get to
decentralization.
Yeah, but it's also like an ideal, right?
They're
Like,
not
it will never
they're not
happen,
blocking
like,
us.
you
It
can
can
always
always be
limit.
optimized.
Yeah,
That's a
it's an
challenge we need
utopia.
to deal
It's
with.
an utopia, but that worth to be followed. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we are doing here. No.
Yeah. And it will always be challenging, and
Yeah.
but it will also not be solved. And if we don't like the word decentralized, we can also assume distributed systems. And we are not decentralized in that sense. We are having
what
our
is the
staples,
thing
like the
that's missing
community
from our
meeting, and
systems?
we're getting together here, and this is
Clear
almost
accountabilities, is that
everybody.
the other piece?
We are really more distributed than decentralized because we
Yeah,
keep
well,
in
you can
contact
even
with
say
each
that
other.
like
It's just, are these systems always working? Do they generate the real feedback loop? And that's what's here at structurelessness, but it's not. It's like lack of development, of refinement.
I always like to speak the decentralization concept into that. that famous article from Vitalik in which he says, well, there is decentralization of infrastructure, political, conceptual, or I don't remember that term, you know. So if we split that into that part, for me it's always easy to deal with decentralization. We have a decentralized infrastructure. What's our infrastructure? The governance mechanism, the servers around that we use, for example, the politics, how the decisions are being made, no? Are we decentralizing in those matters, or how much power does GRIF has on assigning resources, how much power the rest of the community have? Those are the kind of things that need to be
I would say
questioned, I believe.
structured accountabilities.
And then, well, the third one is always messy. It's more about conceptual decentralization in the sense that, or no, there's another word that we use, well, whatever. But
sorry,
how,
It's okay, this
how
is why we do it.
cohesive is the vision itself?
like
Does it have
financial
force,
sustainability,
for example, that you,
and
or also decentralize this concept itself of
structured
the
financial
main given, no?
to get
And you
towards
also have
becoming a
decentralization at
decentralized
another level.
community.
For me, it's easy when dealing with decentralization.
But this is
what-
the
what
thing,
we
like
want to-
decentralization is all of this. You can see it as different factions, or it could be different small entities, or yeah. It's just a very loaded word that means a lot.
And the core of decentralization is that you can't destroy one node
Yeah.
and it collapses the system, right? Like you have to, so like in a centralized system you can undercut one thing and it breaks the whole thing.
Yes.
So I mean, we don't have decentralization in the DApp. We don't have, we have, and that's a challenge. And the amount of decentralization that we do have
leads to the
is
altruistic
huge
outcome.
challenge because of the UX and all that stuff. But then we have a pretty strong decentralization in our team, except for maybe like on the funding side of things. But other than that, it's like, I haven't been doing much Giveth lately. Seems to be going okay.
I mean,
Alright,
you did, but don't notice anymore what's what.
so we're at the top of the hour, we're at 2 o'clock. So the objective of this session was to surface all of our strengths, surface all of our challenges, thank ourselves for being so amazingly awesome, and clarify a challenge statement. So out of these challenges, what is a statement that we can say out loud and say, yeah, this is a challenge for us right now. If we can overcome this challenge, then we can live in our strengths and deliver blockchain technology for good that has positive impact on the world. So what we're going to take with us as we go into lunch and carry forward is, I'm going to bring you back to Qigong.
What about the sentence? Maybe I would check if people agree with that, how it's written.
Sure. Somebody want to read that out loud?
We at Giveth are challenged by uncalibrated systems that lack structured accountabilities for financial sustainability toward decentralization. To me, it's a little, I'm not really getting it. I mean, I know what all of those parts are, but like structured as a sentence, like we're challenged by a bunch of something towards decentralization.
Okay. So, what would you do to change it?
I don't know. Are people saying that decentralization is a challenge?
No, this is the goal. So the goal is to get us towards
reaching
decentralization.
decentralization is the challenge.
But the goal is, we are challenged by a number of things to get to our goal, and our goal is to become truly decentralized, and that decentralization will make it possible to make the world a better place. That is our goal. That is like the long term.
What if we move decentralization after uncalibrated? Like by uncalibrated decentralized systems that lack structured accountabilities and financial sustainability?
I would change the for into and as well then.
Yeah, because I don't think that
dedicated.
Because they're
solved more structure.
they're two separate things.
Field or whatever, but if there was a role that was really there, like other roles live up to the roles.
And then Our
looking
challenge
for
why and should
fun
we
opportunities
balancing
and batching them and just
to reach our goal of making the world a better place?
We don't need to say to reach our goal.
Okay. No.
We
definitely
have our
we
goal,
don't have
we know what we're
one
doing,
strong
what's
goal
keeping
doing
us
No,
from it.
then this
That's
is
why
this is
I
a better
asked.
sentence.
Like this model, so other
I like this.
What
Okay,
do you
let's
think
do
about this
a
one?
little temperature check from everybody. Thumbs up if you love it. Thumbs beside if you're eh. Thumbs down if you just don't resonate. Upside. Okay.
Resonate or
So I'm
not?
gonna come.
No, you
I'm
changed,
gonna-
Lorelai.
and in between these.
Yeah,
I
that's
want-
okay. So I'm gonna come over here where I see a little bit more on recognition. Let's go to, and one of the important things is we're decentralized around the world, so language is a thing. We're picking words right now based on our growing up with the English language. What doesn't?
Yeah, I would like to just point out like some things that I really don't resonate to me, and maybe another alternative. Uncalibrated decentralized systems that lack structure. So it means that the systems lack structured accountabilities, and they lack financial sustainability. So the system itself actually, I think it needs to get financial sustainability, but the system itself, well, there's another part that is in charge of financial sustainability, not only this system.
The system is
That's
more
a
than the
good
DApp,
point.
just to be clear. We're not
Yeah,
just talking about the
that
DApp.
would be a platform.
Yeah.
But I think we could still decouple financial sustainability from uncalibrated decentralized systems, in a sense. I mean,
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
instead of that, it's a and. The system doesn't lack the accountability. I mean,
we
Yeah,
lack
it's-
financial sustainability.
That is
clear,
like by
right?
uncalibrated decentralized systems, structured accountabilities and financial sustainability.
the thing is that it
Yeah.
just feels like
The
it
consequence
just
thing
flutters.
is a dangerous one.
What I will do I will just suggest is just I was trying to read, but uncalibrated systems that lack a structure that needs development in order to reach financial sustainability and clear accountabilities. That's
Do you
a
want to
really
say lack of structured accountability? Something that's just.
Can I ask what do you guys mean with uncalibrated?
Yeah, I'll do
Yeah,
that.
that's a good.
Okay.
Who said uncalibrated systems?
The man with the pen.
The man with the pen.
Yes. What is the issue with the uncalibrated systems?
Yeah, what do you mean with uncalibrated?
We have the systems. We have a lot of systems and tools in place,
Uh-huh.
but they're uncalibrated. We need to fine tune them to make sure that they're really effective in helping
think-
us
I don't
instead
think
of sometimes like frustrating us a little bit. We have systems. The systems exist, or we're building them.
You're talking in terms of performance indicators or
No, I'm talking about systems in general. Like the tools we use, the tools we build, the things that facilitate our life to communicate with between each other, to build the stuff, all these
Reward
things.
DAO, rules
Yeah.
processed,
The DApp.
Can we say imperfect decentralized system? I think
Yeah,
the word
but it's still
uncalibrated is like the
there-
same point.
look,
For
look
me,
for another
I-
perfect. Look for
I
another
agree
word.
either,
Not
but-
uncalibrated. If
The reason-
uncalibrated.
Well, for me,
I like the uncalibrated a lot because imperfect is more negative, and uncalibrated to me is like they're already amazing. It's fantastic. No other organization is doing what we do, as far as I know, in the blockchain world in such a decentralized way. But they're just uncalibrated. We have to not just be like, oh, this is amazing. We have to see, we can still like
You need to
get them.
tune it. somehow.
Yeah, we have to tune them. That's calibration. Tuning.
I will personally think that they are actually not developed. Like they are just not created at all. Like
Some of them
it's
are.
there. It's on a baby. It's a baby thing.
But you're thinking about the DApp
Immature.
again.
No. It's
Immature
about the whole
systems.
thing because there is the common
Immature
stack.
systems.
So
Yeah.
it's not developed
You
yet.
haven't grown
So
up
it's
yet.
not calibrated. It's
I
just
got
uncreated.
feedback in
I don't
relationships.
think
No,
the
well-
common stack is really
No.
encompassed here.
Yeah, but it is the calibration which needs to be created.
It's
Well,
more
maybe
about
synchrony. Like I don't know.
You prefer immature or uncalibrated?
I like uncalibrated.
yeah, me too.
I like that. After understanding that, I like it. But maybe it's not that easy to understand.
No, it isn't. So it's good that you ask the questions. It's
We can put the
So-
asterisk
What do you think, Josh?
explanation.
I like
we
uncalibrated
can all
as a
agree.
word, but I'm not sure the systems is the thing.
I have
I
an idea.
have to say
to
that
move forward.
uncalibrated means that the system is actually working perfectly. You just did not set the right parameters.
Yeah.
And so in
Yeah, I
that
don't-
sense,
I don't really like
uncalibrated
that.
assumes that the system is already
Yeah,
the best
I'm not sure
it
the system
could be.
is.
And
the best
actually,
it
the
could
design of the system is probably still lacking some progress.
Yeah.
So I have to say that.
I have a good idea to move forward that will be also like a next step outcome. Can I do that?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
You can say no, Danny. It's already after 2 p.m.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
We
I
have
mean,
fun
we
reading.
have next steps, but so I might tell you no.
Okay, yeah, I don't have problem with the no. I mean, because for sure this is a very strong and deep statement that will need further clarification.
Yeah, of course.
Well, so here's what I'll tell you is that forming this challenge, we're not gonna live in this challenge anymore. What we're gonna do is picture ourselves on the other side of this challenge, okay? So, part of me wants to say systems might be the word that we need to replace. If that was tools, if that was, nodes, components, module, I don't know. But ultimately, the thing we're gonna look at is say, okay, what does it feel like and look like to be giveth after we've overcome this challenge? So, like I told you with Qigong, part of the magic of the Qigong exercises and movements and things that we do is the visualization part of it, of actually picturing your body doing the thing, having its healthy processes, its organs doing the things it needs to do to release toxins and receive its new, fresh, clean nourishment. We're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna visualize ourselves. It doesn't matter how we get rid of this problem. We're not thinking about how to solve this problem. We're just thinking about how great it's gonna be on the other side of it when we've already accomplished it. And what does that tangibly look like? What does it look like having calibrated, decentralized systems with structured accountabilities and financial sustainability? So that's what I want us to start to picture and come up with an image of that on the other side of it. What does calibrated, decentralized systems that have structured accountabilities and financial sustainability actually look like? And then let's, if you wanna journal it, if you wanna write that, if you wanna come up here at some point through the course of the rest of this day today and write down some answers to that, I'm gonna erase all this and write that on the board. What does it look like for Giveth on the other side? And it might be a year from now? I don't know, maybe we wanna pick a time frame.
Or maybe
What do you guys?
Or leave it open.
I don't know if we need to pick a time frame right now because still want to work on a roadmap and so on.
Yeah.
I was just thinking maybe to end this in a very energetic way as well.
Yeah.
It's like do a quick round, everyone just has like not a half hour, just like a few words or a few sentences. How do you, when you think of that right now, what do you visualize?
Okay, let's do it. You
Yeah.
start.
So when I think of this, I see us being a real decentralized altruistic community that is like a bright shining star in a galaxy full of other organizations that we're very much interconnected with, and that people come to us. It's like they flock to us and we share information, they share information with us, and we're trusted and we're welcoming, we're super inclusive, and we're really making an impact to move the entire ecosystem and galaxy forward. That's how I see it if we do these things.
Awesome. Kai, what's your vision?
I think because in the end we always stood strong with our values of developing open source software, being being mindful of how to construct systems that enable people to be sovereign and construct their own economies. We managed to capture a special space that is helping new organizations, new forms of organizations to come up and thrive, and which one thing that probably gave us a big push over the years was always reinforcing the human element and the wackiness of our existence and being like in this space without having to resort to like these whatever, what was this fucking dance at EdCon, you know, like this meme culture. Like I feel we are wack in a different sense, like we use memes but we do not depend on the memes as our source of like wackiness. We allow the natural, like our individual wackiness to come up, and I always feel it's very strong, and we always manage to keep it, so that's why we were successful in 10 years or 15 years.
It's a human aspect.
Successful in the sense many people can use our stuff to run their own communities.
Perfect.
Yeah, I see us, once we overcome this, we'll have all of our tools working well, the DApp will be working well, the reward DAO will be rewarding people, and we'll have clear, sustainable income streaming in, you know, probably from like a common stack sort of thing. And there'll be, I don't know what magical system we'll introduce to bring more accountabilities, but it'll come. And maybe it's just more use of the DApp. And stronger reviewers, you know, enabling stronger reviewers. But those solutions will come, and lots. I think like what Kai just said, lots of people will be using. It won't be just be Giveth overcoming this issue. It'll be lots of organizations using Giveth's tools to overcome this issue.
I see a composable microcosm functioning as a larger part of the macrocosm,
like blood cells in a larger organism, streaming streaming values of teach, learn, share, so that the interrelationships between the whole ecosystem is strengthened, and as such the value flows and currencies, that's the term we know now, will enable larger human alignment. Of course, it's stability, from financial stability.
Alright.
Just to be brief, like I see a great organization actually working flawlessly for the people, doing great things on a platform that actually benefits them in a way that they never thought before. I see that being in the future.
I think I can summarize all of that with only one word, which is abundance.
I thought you was going to say that. But there's one word.
That's a good word, man.
It is abundance, and I see that we will be reaching abundance, at least in my own personal vision, through building up, let's say, a really reliable and hard commons platform.
Yeah, to piggyback on stuff that's already been said before, you know, especially by Griff and Josh. First of all, I think, yeah, once financial sustainability is accomplished, that's going to make it a lot easier in a lot of ways. But also the ecosystem, which you guys talked about, you know, I think from the beginning, one of the most interesting aspects of the Giveth experiment has been the kind of like porousness of the organization's boundaries, and I think that's been one of its greatest strengths, and I expect to see it continue to be that way as people use our tools, and we are always branching out and connecting with other people and collaborating, learning from them. So yeah, I see the ecosystem as a great resource for us to lean on to get to more solid ground.
I think I have one word to sum it up as well, and I think abundance is a good first step, but I think that's a means to the ends of actualization and actualizing self and actualizing society, and we need abundance to be able to do that, but I think that is the ultimate end goal.
You give me goosebumps. I love it.
Actualizations is in terms of evolution, you mean?
Actualization as in, I mean on a individual level, being able to follow your passion, and I think abundance will unlock our capability to do that, and on a societal level, cohesion, like Josh mentioned, you know, individual cells forming a larger intelligence of a body, and we are now individual cells of humanity that are learning to coordinate at scales that we've never been able to do that before. And if we can actualize ourselves and orient ourselves towards the goals that we want to achieve as people, then we can reach those goals as a collective as well, and who knows what comes beyond that.
Danny?
Yeah, well, I have a word too. So my word is blessing. Because a blessing is a gathering of unicorns. So, like, on the other side of this challenge, what I envision are many interchangeable blessings of different unicorns, operating as small teams and units to collaborate across all time zones, all facets of this system. A picture like we already have all the dots. We already have all of the solutions, all of the how-tos. Everything we need to accomplish our vision exists in the world today and is passionately being carried by a unicorn somewhere. And they just need to find their blessing. So that's, when I think about this, I'm like, we are all a part of this system. So we all have our gifts that we brought with us, and we're looking to gather other gifts, and we do that by coming together like this. So what I see on the other side is that we are all operating as a very healthy system, able to give what we have, and knowing that when we ask for what we need, it will be given.
Wow, beautiful.
I know we went over, but we did start a little late, and I hope this was a useful and productive exercise for you all, and maybe a little enjoyable too.
Very much so.
Yeah,
That's
really.
fantastic. I only have a question. Will this have like an outcome or next step?
It did.
Well, so our tangible outcome is that we've pictured our vision, okay? So we haven't changed our vision. We've identified challenges that we need to get over. But where we are is at the very beginning of several days of work.
Yeah.
And so this vision that we've now pictured in our heart, and we're carrying it and embodying it, we're going to carry that into a values discussion tomorrow. And out of that values discussion, we will be able to take a look at how do we calibrate our goals for the circles toward that vision, and then we'll refine that vision together a little bit as need be.
Talking about tangibilities, I think on the agenda we have this one really clear, like the roles.
Good session.
We have the finances discussion on there. When it comes to our systems, I'm not sure, like maybe we should like replace something by talking about all the governance systems except for the DApp itself, because we'll do that. But like what functions well that we have, Reward DAO, Lumios and so on. I don't know. Maybe we could have a session
I
on
love
it.
this very much.
Yeah. So I don't mind at all giving up my I think what are we not good at, to be honest. I think that can, I put that on there, but
It's so.
it might be optional or that can move if we see that we're actually already have been venting all our frustrations before. I don't know. I'm open to like
I
skip
feel
that
like
one.
it's an important thing to come back to this, because one conversation that we've had here, which was very intentional on surfacing challenges, was not, it's gonna uncover some stuff, and we still have more. Like, there's a so deeper degree of vulnerability
Yeah.
that we can all reach with one another that will allow us to release any self-doubt,
Okay.
any,
Then
any
maybe the naming.
hesitations.
Maybe the naming can be split in two. I think the naming, to be honest, that's part of a bigger discussion. The naming is an exercise that is being worked on right now by already a team.
What are we naming?
Everything. So to me, it's a very vague one. It's about like the names that we use in the DApp. But the DApp, for example, is like we're doing user research as we speak to get to an objective outcome with a restructured user interface. So there's just brainstorming about the naming. That is the only one on there that I'm like, it's gonna I'm
we
afraid
won't
it's
have
going to
any
be
clear.
subjective.
We won't end up with any deliverables.
Yeah,
that's
so
for sure.
that one can be like, if we do it, if people really want a voice, maybe we can do a very short one and replace that by like focus on governance systems. And
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think.
Please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, we could do naming to start for half an hour and just focus on identifying what names are good or bad,
Yeah, what really
And
needs
then-
to be.
and then leave it at that.
Just do 30 minutes on it and
Yeah,
give
it's
ourselves
like,
the rest of
okay.
the hour to map our systems.
Does campaign need to change or not? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah.
How about milestone? Okay. You know, da da da.
That we at least we absorb that, and it's going to be really good impact for Marco as well, just like when he does his exercise. Yeah.
But if we're actually looking for alternatives for a couple of them, it'll probably take more than 30 minutes.
That's why we don't look for alternatives.
Yeah.
Right.
We
We're
give
just
the input,
identifying-
Just
identifying
walk
and saying
away.
why
Yeah,
we
good
don't.
job.
We
Love
don't
it,
like
don't
this.
love it.
Yeah.
Just input, no output.
I give this a 2 and this one a 9.
Yeah.
Alright,
You can
one
say
thing-
why.
Let's go. Let's move on.
So we're finished with the workshop. I don't know if we're still streaming, but the one thing I just want to ask everybody at some point in conclusion of this workshop is hug somebody.
Oh,
I was gonna do this.
You're always here.
First we are.
The chairs.
And Lorelai needs some hugs
Yes.
upstairs.
No,
She's
I
fighting the
want-
tragedy of the
that's what I
commons.
want
We
input.
have one.
Danny,
No, but for me, the outcome is to send
We're
to Marco to watch this. It seems so.
Okay,
He's
so we
absorbing
can-
his
I
user
love it.
resources. This is just input, and the output is to Marco.
But I just want to say, I mean, I can say it again in the naming thing, but we should probably think about the different elements and separate them. Like the dead, the naming of the dead.
Who's running naming?
Huh? What?
Who's running naming?
Chris, I think.
I didn't put it on there, but I can run
I
it.
don't know.
But I think
I mean, I
probably
can-
Danny or Lorelai or.
Oh, I mean, you're very passionate about naming, so you could lead it, I think. But I mean, like the dev needs a cohesive naming structure because, like, the events, the milestones, they
Yeah.
are scaffolded,
Yeah.
and it's totally unrelated to whatever we use in the community, like DAC or Reword DAO, or like these things are just. So maybe we should just make those buckets for names. Like the dev naming is important, but there is an intrinsic logic that you need to re-establish if you change stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
so tangible.
for sure we won't change anything in the current DApp. It would be for like
I was thinking
next
I put on
step.
like the sheets also.
If we change
what I'm
anything.
going
Yeah,
on.
but which one is
More
the
than
next
one-
step? The
one
X-Type.
step.
X-Type app,
Clear.
yeah. And
Oh, I'm so excited
And-
about when does Michael get here. I want
Yeah.
I
like,
think it's already by just
yeah,
getting
well,
that,
and
like,
I mean, I think the
seeing
plan there is
that
like
bring
really
awareness
throw
to
away
something
our
like
front
this
end
is
code
actually
and
what
maybe
we're
even
challenged
try to redo the
by.
backend.
I met this guy from
Right?
Net 10, Thomas Seitzinger.
Can I just piggyback something
And
quick?
they just a
That's
second because I'm
extremely
piggybacking on the thing, and
Yeah.
they are using a bridge. He
And
said
then
they
the
forked our bridge.
interesting thing is.
They
But
forked
they-
our bridge?
they
Oh,
bridged
God.
to- But they bridged to POA.
Compost that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. So we
And
could
you can do it,
Like we get
fork
to
it back.
whatever
And
is
there you
dying
have it,
off,
a bridge to
whatever's
POA.
stinky, that's
Well,
cool.
I mean, there's
Turn
already
it into
bridges to
soil.
POA.
We're gonna
There
grow a new
is.
garden.
Yeah, yeah,
You can deal
POA.
with
I mean, are they
everything.
bridging? Are they bridging to their own
Identify it first and then
POA?
tackle it.
Yeah,
That's why I'm really
They have their
happy that you
own
guys agree.
They,
Because I told you
I'm
already
not sure,
before
so
that
they
naming
operate on
button,
Ethereum
and
sidechain.
it's like
I
now we
think,
have
now I think it's a POA
accountability,
chain.
sustainability, and
Like,
systems
but it's
on
their
the
own.
agenda.
Because
Yeah.
there's POA network.
No, they have, it's like their
X-Type.
own, but they're also validator on, I don't know which one
And the
is
thing is,
the main
To
POA
actually
What's
network. It's
the
so-called
name?
like the other one.
journey.
Huh?
What's
Yeah.
Like,
who's
Last
let's get
10.
too far ahead, like I can tell
And
you
they
the
are like a
intention,
collective
but I'm
from
still
Austria.
surprised.
And like interesting
Because-
people. I'm like,
Because
sorry.
the outcome is always
You're
something
Sorry.
piggybacking?
we
Piggyback
we
man.
won't know.
Yeah,
because it
have we
comes
looked
out
at
of
all our
of us
options
being
in
drafted.
terms of
That's why
scaling
I'm
and
really happy
X-Type
we
is the
keep
best
on
one?
first.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes.
We looked
It
hard.
It is not only technical scaling, but also like comfort and stuff, like end user, and that's where like the cross,
It's easy to
like
make
the
people
Whitelist is really good match.
I mean, the only other scaling solutions that we can use don't exist yet. So like, I actually really love Substrate. Making our own chain.
Have you seen Radix?
Redix? Radix? Is it in use right now? Who's using it?
I always say,
Pillar?
praise individuals.
No, so how does
and
Radix work?
criticize
It's
widely.
like a storm
So you
kind
gotta
of thing.
criticize
That
actually
you
the
only have
system and not
consensus
the
on the
individual,
boundaries,
because
but other than that,
that's
it's
not.
not.
So it's a
It has
side chain?
finality.
I've
No, it's a graph with
facilitated an
finality,
event
so it's
or
not like
a
exponential
workshop.
fuzzy stuff. The only part.
Can you use Solidity
People
on
tell
it?
me afterwards, oh, if only that one
And that's
person
the
wasn't
big
there."
challenge,
If,
because
you know,
then we can't
somebody's
use our
got
expertise
this thing we
to
didn't have.
make
And
smart
I always let
contracts,
them
right?
know
We have to learn that whole new
That would
system.
have happened no matter
So that,
what.
and that's
Because the
what
system we are
is the
operating
challenge
right
for
now,
almost any
that's
other
part of the macro.
other than EVM
So it's
section.
gonna
We
show
can't
up
just
in our
take
system.
our smart contracts
It's
and
present.
plug it
It's
in.
present
We
in our
can't use
system.
the tools
And
everyone
if
has
we
like
aren't able to see
MetaMask,
it and name it,
all stuff. So it's
somebody in that circle
we'd have to tear
is
down a
gonna
lot more
take on
to
the
change.
character of
How
it.
come
They're
that
gonna
with
become the
Substrate?
monster.
Well, that's the same substrate we could. Well, substrate we could actually use substrate now, but it's the same issues.
So there's no solidity.
Yeah, there's no solidity. But
Which
the
is
Rust,
maybe not such a big problem as we think. Like,
yeah, not if we're redoing the contracts. If we're redoing the contracts, then it's not much.
it might be in another language, might be even way easier or stronger or superior.
I mean, I'm really excited to see what Status did with our smart contracts because they're creating their own liquid pledging DAO right now, and I haven't been following. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, they forked all of our stuff.
They call it bridging,
They're
Where's
doing
the
Rex
open
and
area?
Risk.
because I broke it.
Yeah,
I burned
like,
bridges.
It's not complicated. It's a cool thing, right? It's like a web page has to be.
Yeah,
But
and
I
now
know
that we have
that my
the
gut feeling was right.
decompiler,
Right?
I don't know if you guys
The
seen
meeting
this
wasn't
decompiler,
talking
basically,
about systems.
like on Block
It was
Scout,
easy
you
to
can
just
see
like
any
be about me.
contract.
But the other people
Even if
were
it's
being
not,
honest,
even
because
if
Brett
someone
didn't
didn't
know how to see
verify
it,
it,
was just like, I'm not
they
gonna
actually
push
just
it
kind
on
of like
fast.
look at the
But I was like, I
bytecode
cannot do this.
and
It has to-
and try to match it with
Yeah,
known
it's been-
function
it's
names and parameters, and
Wonky.
you can actually kind of
Wonky.
see like what was the contract like.
And now we're
Because
having a
right now,
void,
smart contracts that are deployed
that's
are
just
not
now
open
starting to
source,
be filled.
right?
It's a wound
Like,
that's
you have to then verify them on
It's the thing that
Etherscan
at that
or
moment
match
I
the
felt-
Solidity
I-
code to
I
the
felt
bytecode.
so
The bytecode is open,
Okay.
but what's fuck the bytecode, you know?
Okay.
And so, but
I think I'm
Tomas,
actually was the
who
only
came to
one
Burning
who was
Man
fucking
and
brain
Camera
enough to
Camera
keep
Contact last
because
year,
the
tall
others
blonde
I
guy.
don't
I took
know,
all the
but like,
responsibility and all the rest
He
of it.
he wrote this thing that it's a decompiler where you can take bytecode and turn it
I
into
feel like
something
it
readable.
has
It's not quite Solidity.
it was not the input, but it is human readable.
Yeah, and so you can pretty well guess what it is, and if you can't, if it's like if they use
What?
something silly and
I don't
you
even
really can't
know
tell what
how
they're
to
doing,
process.
then it
Like,
then
and
it
then
tells
I
you like who
self-doubt
knows, you know,
myself.
like,
Yeah, me
what
too.
this function is all about.
I could've
So this
healed
is perfect because I always
kept
thought it would
together.
be great to like
Or
check
just cut it and
for
said,
known
"Let's do
vulnerabilities
People
or
wouldn't even have
obvious
accepted
Yeah.
man in the middle
just
of
coming
things.
in.
Yeah.
Like you
You're
would just
absorbing
say,
that, you're
oh,
coming in
dude,
and
are you sure you
doing
want to
this
send a
and
transaction?
so
That's
again why I
smart
was-
contract has
You see
actually
standing, that's why I
this
sent
known
a few messages
exploit.
That's
You're
exactly
standing
what
in
they
the
use it
middle
for,
of a lot of
like
instability.
uninitialized
And
contracts,
you had to, like,
which is what the parody,
I kinda like
second
it.
parody
Yeah.
hack was about. They didn't initialize the library contract. He scans the whole blockchain for contracts with the init
They
bytecode,
came out
and
glorious
then
and
like
shining in
if
a lot
they've
of
been
energy
if
and
init
a
is
lot of
true, and he
stability.
can
That's
give
how
you a
I
list
saw
of
it,
all the
even
contracts
when
on
I had
Ethereum
versions
that haven't been
going on.
initialized,
I have
right?
like,
Or
I'm down,
contracts
I'm
with
like,
known
this is moving in the
vulnerabilities,
right
like
direction, I
there
don't know, we have
he
to
did
work
this
on
for a
all
few
that.
of them.
I saw
Or
it
like
like,
when they
oh,
find a
I'm
vulnerability,
going in the correct
you know,
direction because
they can
sensitive
be like,
to
okay,
that.
here's this bytecode
That
string,
you really
and here's the
analyze
pattern.
things.
Which ones of these have that pattern? It's
Try not to say
Right.
it's
It's a
like,
Hey, I
nice
didn't
water
pull this up.
searching tool.
yeah, Witcher, is that what
Yeah, I
it's
think
called?
that's the word,
I
yeah.
might have laughed with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
it was streaming all this time.
Well, good. It was a good
It
stream.
was, yeah, but that was also